So some of the key components of her budget include her follow through on the state's commitment to fully fund the foundation aid formula as it stands now. So that is a 12.8% increase statewide in foundation aid. Also, the school districts who are already fully funded will also receive a 3% increase. I believe that was the same last year. So even though we're fully funded now, districts that for years have been fully funded have continued to get more. So, you know, while we're very grateful for what we're getting, we do understand that we're still lagging behind a lot of other districts. So statewide, total increase in or not just foundation aid, but all education aid of 3.1 billion. So a 10% increase in education funding in the governor's budget. There has been no change in the formulas for all of the expense-driven aids, such as our BOCES aid, transportation aid, special ed funding. All those things are based on what we spend. We get reimbursed a portion of that. So there's been no change in some of those formulas. In previous governor's budgets, they have recommended combining those into one aid and not necessarily basing it on what we actually spend. So we're happy to see that. We also are, she's also proposing an extension of the waiver that allows retirees to earn and work for the district without any income limits. The current limit by statute is $35,000 per year that a retiree can earn, but that's been waived for the last few years since COVID, and it will be waived again. So that's good news for us. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure about that. It's not just teachers, it is for other, like bus drivers, it could be for people like that too. Um, so included in this budget is a new, funding source. I guess it's not really a funding source. What they're doing is like they do a set aside of our foundation aid and we're required to spend it on community schools. So now in this budget, there's a line item so that a portion of our foundation aid has to be set aside for tutoring. And so I don't have any much detail on that at all yet. Just that it's for grades 3 through 8 in reading and math, and our allotment was 822,000. So of our increase, I had to set aside 822,000 of that for tutoring, and I don't know what that entails exactly yet. So what it means for us, here is what we adopted in the 22-23 budget and what the governor is proposing for next year. So our foundation aid is going up $8.1 million, which is astronomical for us, really. Last year we got a $4 million increase and we thought that was awesome. This year, 8 million. So obviously we're very pleased with that. Building aid is based on our debt service. I have to work out a little bit. This is what the state is saying that we'll receive in building aid, but I have to fine tune that number with Rick Tim's office because I think there's some things that the state doesn't know about capital project work that we're completing now and we should start to receive funding for next year. So that number could change. BOCES aid is up based on our increased BOCES spending. Textbook, software, hardware, and library is down just slightly based on a little bit of declining enrollment. Those are our per pupil amounts that we receive for those categories. The excess cost aid is increased. That is for our special ed programming, high cost students. We're spending more each year on that, so our aid is expected to go up on that. Transportation aid looks like it's a huge increase, and it is from what we budgeted. But even though we budgeted 1.75 million for this year that we're in right now, the state will be giving us about 2.3 million. So we're getting a lot more than we expected in transportation aid this year, and then next year it will go up again. So 2.5 million. And then the homeless aid, we don't get a number on that, so that's our estimate. It's been around that 50,000 for the last several years. So in total, 50 million to 59.3 million, an 18.6% increase in our total education state aid.
What's our total transportation cost roughly per year?
Oh,
That's not
I can look it up, but I think it's like close to 3 million.
okay.
All right, so that's all I have on that. Does anybody have any more questions on that one?
I just wanted to emphasize what you had said. There are districts that are getting increases even though they've been overfunded. So while we got this big increase, I'm going to pick on Port Byron for a second, Matt. Just plug your ears. Um, so Port Byron is going to get $10.3 million in foundation aid next year. They have 788 students. We're getting 44.4 million. We have, according to the state, we have 3,867 students. So we're getting about 11,000 per student from the state. Port Byron is getting over $13,000 per student, and they're still getting an increase next year. So if we were to get as much aid from the state as Port Byron, and our poverty rate is very similar, right? So it's very similar. They're different, obviously, in a lot of ways, but poverty rate is part of the calculation, and how many students you have is part of the calculation. We'd be getting $8 million more in aid if we just got the same as Port Byron. So there's still like significant flaws, and that has nothing to do with the years of underfunding that we've experienced up to this point.